So the question comes up, is it better to do direct response marketing or branding, right? So this happens a lot. I get this question, and I was just talking to somebody about it recently, where how do you actually get the kind of response that you need immediately, if that's what you need, versus how do you build a long-term brand or equity for your business? So there's a few approaches to this, and one of the first things that I would measure to determine kind of which direction you want to go is just to remember the story that Dean Jackson, or I guess the analogy that Dean Jackson talks about of the whiskers versus cheese, right? So in other words, if a mouse detects cheese anywhere in the vicinity, it will chew through steel to get to it. But if the mouth catches even the faintest glimpse of whiskers, cat whiskers, in other words, they're often running in the other direction. And it's the same with your prospects. If they feel that you're trying to pitch them on something or sell them something that is more in your interest than in theirs, boom, they're gone. Versus if you're offering them something of value, the cheese in this case, in this analogy, then they'll stick around, okay? So that is really kind of how you determine whether you are going to go for a more direct response approach or more of a branding approach. Let's say in a podcast, right? So in a podcast, and this is something that I'm actually working with a client on right now, is it better to focus on just pure content in the podcast, or would it be better to construct the podcast in a way that is more about a pitch that they want to deliver? So the focus here is, what do you want the podcast to do? Do you need to immediately make a sale at the sacrifice of sort of the long term, and also at the risk of, kind of showing the whiskers, in which case, you'll get zero response. So I think that's the question that'll help you determine whether you go direct response or whether you go more in a direction of brand marketing. Is, what is it that's going to either scare away your prospect or build that long-term relationship with them? So if you need that long-term relationship, then branding is the direction to go. If you need a sale today and it's worth risking, putting some people off, then you would maybe go with a direct response approach. So there's three questions that I like to ask to help determine this: is where are you right now in your business? Where do you want to be? And what's in the way? So if you're at a place in your business right now where you need sales, then direct response is almost certainly the way to go. As Dan Kennedy says, branding is fine as long as you're not paying for it. You really can't afford to pay for branding at the earliest stages of your company. If you're kind of in the startup stage, you just need to get sales, and that's where direct response comes in. The second question then is, where do you want to go? If your goal is to get to the next level in your revenues, then at some point branding starts to become important. And then the third question is, what's in your way? Well, if what's in your way is the revenues, first you got to build the revenues to get to the point where it's worth having the investment to do the branding. One final point I'll add for all this is that branding becomes more important as you build an organization. In other words, it really helps to have sort of a rallying, flag to fly with, to go into battle with. And if you have a set of values that you can easily communicate to everybody, all the stakeholders in your business, right? So your customers, your employees, your contractors, your investors, a common sort of, beyond your own self mission that the company, the team, the organization is striving for, then in essence, that really becomes your brand, okay? So the bigger you get and the more successful you are, the more important that branding becomes. The earlier stages, direct response, where you are more likely to just get sales or not. is going to be the approach. So I hope you find that helpful, and do, like this page, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever, and comment below. What's your thoughts? How do you use direct response? How do you feel about branding in your business at this point? What are some of the things that you do in order to, kind of make that distinction between taking more of a branding approach to marketing versus direct response? Love to hear from you. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll talk to you again soon.